Finding the abstract painting in this particular picture, I use the croppers to do this, and so I'm actually zeroing in on a certain section of it, looking for an abstract pattern that all paintings are really made of in composition, and but some of them are more evident than others, and so in this particular case, I was looking around to see what type of abstract pattern there would be in this particular this picture, and so I found this abstract pattern with the rectangles that I thought was very interesting. So I'm starting on a cold press watercolor paper, 15 by 11 by 15, using a flat half-inch brush. I am putting in neutral tint color and using it as flat as I can. And that's why I don't use my round brush, because you have a tendency to want to draw or fill in a shape. And the flat brush sort of makes the shape immediately for you. And it's on dry paper, and the paper is at a slant of about 45%. So everything runs down, which is good. Now, as I proceed down on this particular painting, I'm going to go lighter and lighter as I come down. And if I don't like that later, I will make it darker. But I want it dark on top, and then lighter on the bottom is my first thought when painting this abstract pattern. And so as I continue to paint, I'm blocking in, thinking more of the shape itself and not of the items that are in the picture. And now here I might get a little bit perspective in it, and I sort of scolded myself as I did that, because I thought, no, I don't want that. I want more of the pattern that I see. And so you've got to kind of discipline your thinking when you are painting. And so that's what I'm doing here. Just now, this is a repetition of shape just coming down as far as line. That would fit into the abstraction that I'm looking for. And then as I proceed, I get further back from the painting to analyze it. I have a figure that's floating. Now, I look at this as a small shape floating by the other shape and filling up this little space right here. And so, and the reason I kept it as a figure is because I wanted some representation that gave meaning to the big shapes that I have already painted. Now I'm going to bridge it with another line that comes so it connects to the bigger shape. And looking at it as a general shape that we're looking at, not all kinds of detail. Well, here I'm repeating it again, doing to my editing, so it doesn't hurt to see it again. But basically, my editing did not turn out as well as I wanted it to. So I'm looking at the figure as a shape, and then there's a little shadow underneath the figure right there that kind of breaks it up. The legs are not on yet, which are straight lines that can be put on later. Now the negative space between around this shape is kind of angular shapes. And so I thought, okay, I'll block them in because that's a repetition of the larger shape, of the darker shape that I have. Keeping it as simple as possible, and into the rectangular shape that I'm painting. And then I'm going across, and again I'm scolding myself because now I'm looking at realism. I'm putting in water, and I really shouldn't be putting in water. I should just be putting in a design element of white lines. And so I've got a dry brush there. Now I want to make this much darker than what I started out with. And so I'm going to repaint this and see how it goes by studying the photograph that I have in my hand there. And do it too when it's still wet because some of the edges will blur, and you'll get these happenings that only watercolor can afford to do, and so you should really take advantage of that as much as possible. If you dry it every time you put a mark down, or let it dry, and then it becomes all hard edge. And there should be some mystery to these where edges are lost. And so I'm just distributing the darks as I see as I look at the painting. See where I want to darken a little bit more. All of these are decisions that are made with the idea of design, repetition, shape, value, contrast, those types of things. It's what I'm analyzing and seeing where's repetition in here, and how I can make it more entertaining to the eye. Make this a little darker up here, break it up as I come down so it's not just the same as I had it before. Now when you put little pieces like that, then you want to connect them as much as possible. There's a light area that I want to keep. Now with my rigger, I'm going to start to draw in some line, because I have already accomplished the shape, but not quite in its value. But right now I think it's time to add another element, thick and thin lines to the composition. It is in the picture. There's cables that are running off of this rectangle. And also I'll use it for the figure as well. When you put a line in and you think it's a little bit wet, go with it, because what happens is it'll blur and it'll give you a more of aesthetic quality. You can see now how the line is now giving a little bit more depth and also interest to the shapes that are in the picture. And now I'm getting a little bit too picky here with my. See, as soon as you get into a thin brush, you want to draw. And so instead of just using the element line, I want to make a leg. And I don't want to make a leg. You shouldn't. You should just make a line. And I just can't seem to get to the point of where I leave it as a line. Now these are things that we all fight in our deliberations of doing a painting. Okay, I think I've got that enough. Now I'm going to start to work again on this large area because I'm not really pleased with it. It's not entertaining enough, really. And so I'm going to start blocking in and looking to see if I can get that just to be a little bit more entertaining. And we'll put some darker areas in here, maybe a dash there, a dab there. Look at the balance of it. You want an asymmetrical balance. You want it to run off the edges in one or two areas, and so you don't have it just floating in the middle. And so as I'm proceeding here, I'm going to go really dark up here. That's basically what I want to do. Get it nice and dark, and then put water on it so that it'll run. So now if you did this in color, you would have a lot of juicy colors within that dark area, not just solid black. The value sketch sort of helps you where your values are, and when you do a painting, and with this as a guide, you don't have to worry about what color this is. It can be any color you want it to be, but as long as it's the same value that's in your sketch, it'll go through. Value, remember, is number 1, and color basically is number 3. Okay, now you can see how that sort of brought that up there, a little bit there. Now it's a lot more dramatic than it was before. And one of the things that the goal that I have in painting is I just don't want another ordinary painting. I want a dramatic painting, a painting that has confidence and also that has directness and entertaining the eye as much as possible. And so you take you take a risk as you do this. And now that I am done, I'm going to take the tape off. Now I've taped it all the way around the sides so I could have a nice clean border around it, so I could evaluate it at this point. Now when I do it in the watercolor, I would take the tape off and then I would apply some pastel to it, and that'll be the next video that you'll see when I go with it in the color form. Well, thank you for watching, and if you like to see more of these videos, go to frankzeller.net, and I have a lot of DVDs on there that you can order.